Welcome to Shark Home Brewing Adventures channel. Today, what happens to all the beer that never gets consumed?
Hi everyone, I'm Shark, and today I'm exploring the fascinating journey of leftover beer. I'll uncover how these beers are repurposed, reused, and sometimes even recycled.
Every year, millions of liters/gallons of beer are brewed, but not all of it gets consumed. So, what happens to the surplus?
Join me as I discuss creative ways they may handle leftover beer, from turning it into delicious new brews to using it in cooking, and even in sustainable practices. There's a lot more to leftover beer than you might think. So, next time you enjoy a cold one, remember that every drop has a story. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more exciting content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shark Home Brewing Adventures Live. Basically, yeah, I was working on another concept for a live, and all of a sudden I start seeing some of these things. I go, that's interesting. So it's one of those, like, I need to kind of share this. I mean, because what do you do with beer that you don't use? You basically start drinking beer, and it's like, I don't want this. And most people, what they do is they'll pour it down the drain, or they'll just finish it off, kind of thing. And I found some interesting things that you can do with it. Beers that you don't like, don't want, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm here to share some of those ideas with you. I don't have any true examples, but there's just ideas you can Google them. I mean, that's how I found it. So this is kind of a thought-provoking kind of a live kind of thing. So yeah, but yeah, so obviously here's kind of the hint of what you can do. And some of them were kind of like, wow, really? I would never have thought of it. And some of them like, okay, cool. That's done that already kind of thing. So, but yeah. So let's kind of move on to the first one. First one is obviously, I think, which everybody has done. And that's going to be with cooking. So, but yeah. So basically, obviously, beer is a fantastic ingredient in cooking. You can use leftover beer in recipes to add rich, complex flavors to dishes like braised meats, beer infused desserts. I mean, like here, you basically, if you do bratwurst, instead of putting water, you put some beer in, kind of give it some of a flavor. The desserts, you can use stouts to make put in cakes, brownies, and I mean, just to kind of give it a little different flavor, because also most of the alcohol will, when you do cooking, alcohol will cook off. But yeah, so some of the cooking with it, they say you can make with beer, you can make marinades and sauces. You could use beer as a base for marinades to tenderize the meat and add flavor. It works great with beef, chicken, and pork. So, beer bread. So people who make their own bread, make a quick and easy beer bread. Basically, beer acts as a leavening agent, which giving the bread a nice rise and a unique flavor. So it just helps proof the bread. I believe that's what they're talking about. Battered foods. Okay, like obviously you're talking about your fish, your beer battered fish and chips kind of thing. Or they were talking about onion rings. You can make beer battered onion rings, and this is kind of interesting. Vegetables. So it's like so basically with the carbonation in the beer makes beer batter light and crispy. So I'm assuming you're mostly most of these beers. You didn't say what kind of salad beers. I think it's wherever beer you have and kind of what flavors. If there's a flavor in the beer, you kind of maybe pair with kind of thing. Then obviously there's the stew and soups. Add beer to stew and soups to add a rich, deep flavor, and it pairs especially well with beef stews and chili. So, what did I say? Most of this category is kind of everybody's done. I'm assuming it was at some point. So yeah, so So the other areas, which is kind of what makes it, when I was looking at all this stuff up, it was kind of very, that's interesting. Never thought of it. Don't know if I would do it, but leftover beer can also be used in eco-friendly practices, such as composting and even as a natural cleaning agent. Okay, and it's all about finding innovative ways to minimize waste. So, as I said, it's mostly for these beers that you don't really like. You can like, you buy a 4-pack, or you have some beers left over and going, I don't know what to do with, kind of thing. So, um, obviously, the first one is, I'm going to say, gardening. I have heard of this trick before. Is basically what's this is basically a picture of what's called a slug trap. Now, if you can name that beer that this person's pouring, give you extra points. But yeah, so it's called a slug trap. So basically, somehow snails are attracted to the scent, I guess, because basically what you do is you get a small dish. Usually, I've seen people use pie tins, and so they basically pour. You don't have to pour that much into it. So then basically what you do is you put it in your garden, and basically all the snails or slugs, they'll come to this, and basically you get rid of them, kind of thing. The other thing too is composting. So you're going like, how can you compost a beer? Well, basically, they're saying it's a booster. I guess it helps speed up the process. So basically, what you do is add your beer to the compost pile. Basically, the yeast and the sugars in the beer help accelerate the process. So that's kind of interesting. So, hello everybody. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting, the composting. I never even thought about pouring beer into a compost if you're doing such a thing. The other thing too, which is, this is where I kind of went, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really look into it too much. Like I said, this is more of a kind of a thought-provoking conversation. Basically, it's for cleaning. Use beer for cleaning. I'm going like, okay, usually when you spill beer, you're cleaning the beer that you spilled, kind of thing. So it's kind of like, so. So what they said, you can use it to polish wood furniture. I'm going like, okay. So what you do is basically you use flat beer to polish wood furniture. It can help restore and shine and clean the surface. I'm going, again, I don't know what beer style they're talking about. If there is a specific one, I don't know, like a sour. I mean, I don't. It didn't say, and I kind of, it was just the idea of using it as a beer as a furniture polish. So that's kind of the other one. The other thing that they were talking about is stain remover. I'm going like, it's again, so you would think, okay, you spill a beer, it makes a stain, but it says beer can help remove stains from fabric. Pour a little beer on the stain and let it sit, then wash as usual. I'm going like, okay, you got cleaners. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm assuming because it's water, and it will bring whatever stain out, kind of thing. But it's like, okay, now you got the smell of I mean, so it's kind of like, I mean, I'm sure some people, if you've tried any of these techniques, or whatever, shoot a comment or put it, or in the chat, whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of, so the third category, and I kind of jumped the gun on that. So it's clean beer, so kind of thing. So my bad on that one. So yeah, so the polishing wood furniture and a stain remover. So this one is another one kind of went, I'm not sure about, but it's basically, it's for beauty and personal care. And so basically you can use it as a hair rinse, as like, I got the example here is kind of interesting, that you would basically, this is the only example of kind of what to do. So you use beer as a hair rinse to add shine and volume. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to worry about that. The proteins and vitamins in beer can help strengthen your hair. So obviously, you kind of, which is kind of funny. You're going to boil the beer again, even though it's already that's part of the process. So I guess so supposedly you just pour the beer in your hair, let it sit for like I guess it's like a conditioner kind of thing. So yeah, yeah. So I'll get to the comments in a bit. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So then you shampoo it out. I mean, so it's kind of okay. So you're not gonna have your sticky hair's not gonna be sticky from the beer. So you are gonna rinse it out, kind of thing. So, but yeah. So there's a couple ideas. Hair rinse. The other one is basically a foot soak. So basically, you would think Epsom salt kind of thing. So you soak your feet in beer to soften the skin and relax the tighter muscles. I'm going like, and again, I don't know what properties in the beer would make you do that to help that. So that's kind of I don't know. But it was I've seen it in a few places. Yeah. So oops. So yeah, so that's kind of for the beauty and hair care. Then we kind of have the miscellaneous kind of category. Something that really doesn't. So obviously, like here we got like meat tenderizers, it's like kind of the cooking. So you basically, like I said, they basically what they did is put whatever meat in there and just pour your beer in there, kind of probably like a marinade, like they said before. The interesting thing too is you can make. Oh, I was trying to find a picture, but nobody really find. I didn't find it. It's basically what's called beer ice cubes. So basically, what you would do is now see now to me is if you're gonna make beer ice cubes, this is not a beer that you would necessarily are throwing away. This is a beer like okay, I wanna. Gonna be a hot day, and I know my beer's gonna get warm, but I don't want to put ice cubes. So if you make beer, you put beer ice cube. I mean, make beer ice cubes. So you put that beer cube in your beer. So I mean, get it cold, but also you're kind of when it does melt, it's just adding back to the beer. But there's kind of like you don't freeze beer because it kind of loses its flavor. So I'm kind of like, so I'm assuming it's better than just watering down your beer. You're not quite as watering down, I guess. Um, then so lastly, what is basically is kind of I don't know. I kind of get when you're in the brewing process that if something happens to the beer, it's like okay, this is not right. You're gonna kind of fix it before you release it to the public. But some people kind of mentioned that some breweries even blend leftover beer with other batches to create unique beers. I'm going like, I don't know. It's maybe I say just make like a sour or some other kind of styles. So yeah, so those are pretty much kind of these are a few ideas to get you started. Kind of see if you can help out with the environment, or do what we can do with those leftover beers that you didn't want to drink, you didn't like, or I just people leave beer that you're just not going to drink. Kind of, it's beers you got to dispose of. But find a creative way to experiment or find other ways to use those leftover beers. So I appreciate Buddy for stopping by. Yeah, there's no butt chugging. Hello, Thomas. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Paul. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I agree with you there, buddy. It's just that way you just forget about it, unless you're sitting on the stain. And so, yeah, that's what I said. It's just kind of interesting the idea of using a beer as a hair product kind of thing. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. So, but yeah, as I said, it was just a concept of me of basically when I was thinking leftover beer, I was kind of like thinking of like, okay, I bought so much beer and like for Shocktoberfest, kind of. This basically is now I got beer I didn't drink at all for whatever reason, and it's like now I'm calling it leftovers, and I'm calling it like, so when I Google leftovers, this is where I got all these other ideas from. So it's kind of like, okay, that was, and I think that was something kind of worthwhile sharing. So, but yeah, so I mean, like I said, if you're rewatching this, kind of leave comments of any other ideas that you may have used for beer. I mean, I know some people trying to I don't want to say they use it as a fuel, because it's like more of the whiskey spirits you can kind of burn. But yeah, so anyways, so pretty much that's it. I appreciate everybody that stopped by. I hope you all enjoyed it. And until next time, cheers, everybody, as we go ahead and end. Thanks.